Welcome to the IDPro Show, the best channel for hearing about how to grow your career in digital identity. I'm Heather Flanagan, Executive Director of IDPro and the Principal Editor for the IDPro Body of Knowledge.
And I'm Chris Cochran from AKI Identity, and we are here to introduce you to the world of experts and insights and in-depth discussions in this world of identity. Whether you're an identity vet or you're just learning about the world of identity, this is your gateway to the latest trends, knowledge, and career advice.
So we're here today to talk with the Identity Jedi, David Lee. Squee! So David Lee is a man of many talents. We're talking over 20 years of experience in helping Fortune 500 companies understand the ways of digital identity, and from engineering to consulting to business development and product management. I mean, David has just run the gamut regarding identity. And he has become known as one of the most knowledgeable and sought-after experts in the field and one of my all-time favorite conference speakers. Welcome, David.
Thank you so much for that. Thanks, Heather. Chris, good to be here. That was a great intro. And everybody, I did not pay Heather for that intro, but I'm going to start doing that from now on. I'm just like, hey, anywhere I go, I'm like, hey, listen.
Well, I mean, you're the Identity Jedi, which is, I mean, being known as that is no small thing. So what does that title actually mean to you? And how do you make that work in your field, in your mentorship, and what you do?
Okay, so first of all, huge Star Wars fan. As a kid, I would watch Star Wars all the time. And I remember the first time I saw it was like, it was on television, something like that. It was Empire Strikes Back. And I just dove into everything about this, the lore of it. And even as a kid, like I saw the story beneath the story, and like who the Jedi were, and Luke learning about his father and what Yoda was trying to teach Luke. And like, I just saw the Jedi and the Force as teachers and its way to do good, and how you connect with it. And it was never about being aggressive, but understanding kind of what's there. So I saw all these things in it, right? So I'm going somewhere with all these people. Follow me. So that was always the biggest thing. I loved everything about Star Wars, and I love the story that it told. So, when the whole Identity Jedi thing kind of came up, right? It was, it was actually Identiverse, a talk that I did 6 years ago, I think now. And when I came up with it, I was like, okay, I had so many people asking me like, man, like, how did you get so good at this stuff? And how do I handle this? And how do I do this? And I said, okay, it was funny at the time. Everybody was trying to come up with these little monikers like, oh, I'm a tech ninja or a tech support this, or like, I was like, all right, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, what's the coolest thing in the world? I was like, freaking Jedi, right? Like a Jedi is like the absolute coolest thing in the world. You get a lightsaber, you get a sword. And it's just, when you think of Jedi, you think of somebody like wise and respectful, and you think of the lightsabers and just being experts with that. And so when I came up with that, I was like, okay, I want other people to kind of have that confidence that a Jedi would walking into a room. Like if you ever see a Jedi in any of these movies, right? When a Jedi walks in, they walked in, because they're just kind of looking around like, yeah, I can take everybody in here. I'm not worried about it, right? So I can just be calm and like just do what I need to do because I'm a Jedi. And I was like, I wanted people to have that same, kind of feeling when they head into their identity projects. And so that's kind of what I think of it, right? It's just kind of really understanding this world of identity, kind of embracing it and being comfortable with it. So you can kind of take those steps and walk into your project knowing that, okay, things may go a little crazy, but I'm going to figure this out, right? I've got the confidence to kind of do, what I need to do to deliver for the business or make sure this project goes on time. And a lot of that, right, much like the Jedi did, was they would teach the younger generations is a lot of us who've been doing it for a long time, like telling people like, this is the secret. This is what it is, right? This is how you keep these things from failing. So I just look at it as, a way to kind of give back and mentors. I think the whole Identirati thing got out there for a while, and I was like, well, I just like Jedi better. So there we go.
I mean, if you talk about Jedi, you got to start off somewhere. You got to be a Padawan, right?
Yep.
So tell us a little bit how you made that transition from developer into identity. And then what was that experience like? Was it just an all at once, like identity everywhere? Or was it like a slow trickle and a slow build to where you are today?
It was an all at once and then a slow trickle. So the way it started, and, I came out as a Java developer, right? Got my background in computer science. And I was like, I'm just going to be the best coder ever. That was what I knew my career was going to be. And eventually I was going to be a CTO, right? Just the best engineer at any company. And that's what I wanted to be. And so I started my career doing contract work for the federal government. And I ended up getting on this contract where they needed a J2EE developer to develop this access request system, right? And I was like, cool, I don't know what an access request system is, but they want a J2EE developer. I can do that. I'm really good at Java. Let's go do it. So I signed on to this contract and I get on, and I'm there like maybe about a week or so, or 2 weeks. And at the time it was like, I learned about why, like it took, a while for you to get your access before you could really do anything. So I didn't have access to any of the tools or applications. So I'm just kind of, I basically had a workstation and I can install Java. So I was like, okay, cool. I just started looking at some really basic requirements that they had, or they had told me during the interview. And I started building some prototypes, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Somebody needs to be able to log in and request access. You need to see these things. So I'm building all this stuff in J2EE, and I'm in there. Right. And I'm thinking, man, I'm going to blow these guys' socks off. This is going to be the best thing ever. Right. So finally I get my access, and the architect or lead engineer walks into my office, and he goes, "Hey, sorry, I haven't had a chance to really, spend a whole lot of time with you. Now that you got all your access, things will go a lot faster." And then he comes in, he drops these manuals on my desk, and it's these 3 Sun IDM, booklets. And then he says,
those.
Yeah. Like they had the little spirals on them too, right? So he drops them on my desk and he goes, "This is the system that we need you to implement. I'm going on vacation. I'll be back in 2 weeks. By the time I get back, have something ready for me. Welcome to the project," and walks out. And I'm like,
oh my God,
what is this? And so then I start looking through these manuals, and I'm like, they don't need me to develop an application. The application's already developed. And I was like, well, this thing looks like it has everything in it, right? Mm-hmm. No training, no nothing, don't know what any of this is. So I just started reading the manuals and I started installing it, right? And getting it up and running and trying to connect to different applications. And then I was like, connected to LDAP. I'm like, what the hell is an LDAP? Okay. Directory server, X509. I'm like, what is all this stuff, right? So all this stuff just kind of got dropped on me. And at the time, probably still one of the things that, most people would say, depending on who you ask, is a strength or a weakness of me. It's like, once I put my mind to something, like it's over, like that's it. Yeah. And so I just dug in. I literally spent 10 hours a day going through those books, installing Sun IDM. I figured out that it had a debugger. So I started running the debugger so I could see in the back end from a code perspective what it was doing. And I would just click through each screen. When I do this, what does this do? And so I'm seeing the back end of how this thing works. And so I end up reverse engineering this thing over the next 2 weeks. I get some stuff up and running. I get it connected. I get it provisioning, right? And kind of making an account and sending some attributes. And so the architect comes back and he goes, this is amazing. He goes, "Wait, what are you talking about?" He goes, "We couldn't even get this thing to provision. How'd you do that?" I'm like, "Wait, what? Like, are you kidding me?" Like, okay. And that was it. I was in, right? I was hooked. Yeah. And so I was just trying to figure out how to get this thing to work. And so from there, we end up, deploying it. I ended up becoming just kind of one of the go-to, people on the project because I know so much about the tool because I basically reverse engineered it. So by the time they sent me to training, and I will never forget that Squire Earl was the trainer. And to this day, we're still buddies. The first day, like by the 5th question, he goes, "You stop asking questions because you're scaring everybody. I'll get to you later." Because I'm asking all these advanced questions because I basically, hey, but I saw this and I saw that you can do this rule and there's like this run as rule. And so can you basically create a rule and run it as the admin and then call this 8? And people are just like, who is this guy? Right. And he's like, "Stop asking people and scaring my students. I'll get to you later." And so, yeah, after that, it was just, then it became the slow trickle, right? I started understanding, okay, well, what are policies? And okay, well, that's what this is. Well, what's access management then? And okay, well, what's single sign-on? And again, I'm the type of person, like once I dig in, I just go down that rabbit hole because I need to understand everything so I can understand how one thing works, right? If I tell people, I always use the analogy, if you give me a set of tools, I need to see the whole toolbox. So before I pick the tool I'm going to use, because now I know, oh, okay, every tool has its place and the toolbox organized and this goes here. Now that I know where everything fits, I know this is the tool that I use for that. And I'm going to use a screwdriver instead of a hammer because it's supposed to do these things. And so then I just started digging into identity, and 20 years later, I'm still here.
20 years. I mean, that, I don't know if I've done anything for 20 years. Maybe lead. That's about it. But having that first like entrance, I mean, it's sticky. It's easy for people to hang in there. But then 20 years later, like what keeps you in identity? What keeps bringing you back? Like what is it about identity that is sticky to you?
So it's the problem solving, right? When I first looked at it and I truly understood what the Sun IDM product was trying to do, And I made the connection. I was like, hey, if we deploy this the right way, like we can completely, automate and handle how people get access. We can create policies that govern that access and determine whether or not, they get the right amount of access that they need, which in the part of government I was working in was really, really important because there's this thing called need to know. And it's like,
Yeah.
Me, you, and Heather could all be on the same team, but have completely different access. And I have no clue what you have. And like, Chris, you could be both of our bosses, but we could have more access than you, but you have to approve our access, but not know that you're approving it. It's crazy. And I just love problems, right? So I was like, dude, this solves so many different problems. And I started looking at how much identity affected the rest of business. Because back then when I started, it was a thing that you would start. It's like, oh, welcome in about 2 or 3 weeks, you'll kind of be productive. And that was just accepted.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is stupid. Like, why, like, oh, well, here's some training to kind of get you. And so obviously we created things around it, right? We give you all this training to orient you to the new thing. But the really thing is, the only reason why we did that is because it took us 3 weeks to figure out how to provision and give you the right access.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, well, that's a problem that we can solve. And that's something that technology can do. And I kind of just saw what this could do for a business and help transform it, like even back then. And so that's kind of what kept me in, is like, I wanted to see how can we continue to make this easier and better and help change business. And then as it started to pick up steam and momentum, people started to understand, oh, wait, this identity is a really big thing. Hey, it needs to be a part of security. Oh, wait, like this is the reason why we fail our audits and we can do this better. Oh, wait, if we better manage how we get customer information, we can even either save money or make more money or get customers to sign up more. Like there's all these things I started realizing. And I was like, these are all problems that we can solve. So it's just the little engineer kid in me that loves to solve problems. I was like, there's so many problems to solve in this world. It's like, let's just keep solving them.
We've solved some of them, or at least we have the capabilities now to solve some of them, whether people have actually implemented them in their organizations. We'll just let that be for now.
Right.
But going with the argument that identity management has transformed, because we can actually get you provisioned within, an hour of you starting, if we have the right tools. During that time, during the last 20 years, what are some of the most exciting trends or innovations that you've seen? And on top of that, where do you think we're going?
So the most exciting thing, honestly, is I'm going to say AI, but from an analytics perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the ability to now understand and completely see an identity and its relationships to entitlements and resources, applications, and what I will call like the graph of relationships of that. Like I saw this as something that we truly needed to understand a while ago. It's funny. I was talking to a buddy of mine, like 2 days ago, and this is how much of a nerd I am, guys. Like people call me and we end up having identity conversations. I'm sorry, it's just what I do.
Oh, everybody does that, right?
Right. I was like, how are you not having these conversations? But I was talking to him about like he was saying like he's seeing this trend, everybody doing graph databases, all these things or whatever. And I said, there's a reason for this. I was like, the reason why everybody's going there is because we're starting to finally understand that to truly be able to do some of the advanced things we want to do, it's like we need to have a graph to see the relationships between identities, entitlements, resources, and applications. And the relationship between identity and entitlement is just not enough. But that's where we started, but we didn't know what happened after that. We had no clue what was behind door number 3. I'm just going to give you this thing. Cool, you got it. What does it do? No clue. I don't know what the heck it does, but this is what you get, right? Mm-hmm. So good luck, right? How do I know if I have too much? I don't know, because I don't know what the thing does. My job is just to give it to you. But now, and why we see like these companies that were like data analytics companies first, and then all of a sudden switch to being identity companies, because they go, oh, well, if we look at this and understand the relationships and the data, and when you have graphs, what do you get? You have paths. And you can see analytics and patterns when something goes down a certain path, right? If I go to A to B to C to D, now I go to A to D to E to F, and I can take activity and I can play it against that graph. I can see not only relationships, but now since I have that, I can start to determine where patterns are, and I can more educated guess like what's a new pattern that would arise. Yep. All these things applies to identity in the fact of, okay, well, now I truly understand access. If I'm going to give you this thing, I know what it does. I'm going to assign you this group. This group is going to give you access to these applications. It's going to give you access to these resources, and it's going to raise the risk level this much because now I know what these things are behind the thing, right? And so being able to take that and then you use like true AI and ML to go, okay, now we can start applying models to this and truly understand it. Like that is the thing that gets me excited, because as a computer scientist, had I not decided to come out and, start working because I was tired of being a broke college student, I was going to go back and data science was going to be my thing. Like I loved it. I was like, once you truly crunch and understand data, like the modeling you can do, the predictions that you can do, it's really, really cool from a complete nerd perspective, but the business applications of it are really cool. And we're starting to see that now. So that's the most exciting thing for me, because I have been waiting for us to get here. And now I'm just so excited that we're here. And I'm excited to see some of the companies taking the leaps and pushing the boundaries of what we can do with this. And like we always have to do with technology, now we kind of have to wait for the business to catch up, and because they're kind of like, whoa, what do you mean this is going to automate and it's going to do this? And can we have AI making decisions? And I was like, you think humans make better decisions?
Right.
Okay.
I think what AI is doing is it's allowing us to play 4-dimensional chess, right?
Yes.
In that it's going in all directions and then adding the function of time.
Right.
Right. So and no, as much as people would love to do that, maybe some of the more creative-minded people or the folks that, can just make intuitive leaps, bless them. I'm not one of them. AI is going to help so much in making what looks like intuitive leaps. It's not. It's built on data, but it's built on data in multiple dimensions plus time.
Right.
Okay, that was really geeky and awesome.
That's what excites me right now about it. I think my kind of bold predictions I'd like to see 5 years. It's probably going to be closer to 10. But I will say in 5 years, you will start to see drastically different IAM tools. And then by 10 years, they're just going to look completely different than they look today. 10 years, we're going to look up and go, why did we ever do it this way? Like, what? Like, I think it's that transformative of what we're seeing. And we're already starting to see it in some of these companies and the younger companies and how they're shaping and evolving in a matter of, like 2 years, right? So you see a startup that started one way and 2 years later, they're completely doing something else. And the type of functionality they can deliver and how fast they can deliver it is just astonishing.
I'm going to solidly agree. I do want to do a yes and on it in that I think that some of the senior people in the field who are looking at this 10 years ahead going, oh, wow, that's like a whole different world. Yeah, but the fundamentals haven't changed.
Right.
In terms of what problem are you trying to solve and what are the characteristics of the problem in the space, right? We're going to solve them differently and better. But that underlying system knowledge, I don't think is ever going to go out of style.
No, it won't. In fact, it's going to be needed even more, right? Because you're going to build all these systems that's going to make things easier to do. We're going to see more data. We're going to understand the relationships. And now it's, okay, what do we do with this, right? How do we make sure that we're building this? If we're building our custom LLMs and we're answering questions about identity and we're trying to, guess and predict patterns, like what's the right way? How do we guide this thing to go the direction what we want it? That's where this experience of like, okay, we've been doing this for now 10, 20, 30, 40 years. The people who have been around and seeing these things is like, hey, these are the business problems, or these are the things that we're going to need to do to use that for. And hey, this is the right way. This is the wrong way. It's like anything else, right? It's so funny now at this point in my career, right? I understand everything my older mentors were trying to teach me when I was, 22-year-old kid, just like move the heck out of my way. You can't code as fast as me, blah, 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 whatever. And now I'm just like, yeah, there's so many things you haven't, like, there's just so many things you haven't seen yet that it's like, yeah, you may code faster, but you're going to code faster in that direction, which is the complete wrong way. And I'm just going to wait for you to figure it out. And then I'll be like, go this way, kid. Like, it's the same thing.
So what do you think is going to be I would call it like the killer app, the killer problem that's going to have the industry make that jump? Is there like one specific issue that's actually going to transform what we do?
I think it's I don't think it's a specific issue. I think what we're going to see is we will see a true implementation of Google's Zero Trust white paper.
Zanzibar, yeah.
We'll see a tool set that's built for it to be able to identify, authenticate, add context, and truly have ephemeral access and be able to manage that like pretty much at a transaction level. Because if you really read that whole thing, that's what it's talking about. Every time you attempt to do something, I need to know who you are and decide whether or not I'm going to give it to you or not, right? I think we'll see an actual implementation that in a tool set and a company and a case study that will get people to go, oh my gosh. And that company, wherever, will be like, yeah, we no longer do access reviews. We no longer worry about provisioning, right? And here's how we've reduced our risk level into the fact that we can show you if we're ever compromised. Here's how we can show you what somebody has access to. How do we shut it off? And we can detect it within minutes. And here's how we did it. And I think that's going to be the light bulb that people go, oh, let's go shift, right? Because identity's been talking around this security for so long, right? Because most identity companies did not want to have the spotlight on them that security companies do, right? They just didn't, because it's like, oh, we don't help prevent anything. We're admin. But now it's like, okay, well, identity is security. So now you are security, you're there. And now it's like, okay, we can't have one without the other, right? Identity's been at the center of security this entire time. We just haven't really packaged it together. So now that it's there, if you're truly approaching this the right way, you're going to see a lot of things that we talk about be able to be implemented. We're seeing things like, one of the simple things I'll use is like application onboarding, right? We struggled with this for a decade, right? And KPMG and Accenture have made millions of dollars, right? Just onboarding applications for people, right? And now we've got frameworks and tools that have come out there and just go, wait, are you using OIDC? Are you using SAML? Okay, all these are cloud apps and they have APIs. I can onboard an application for you in 5 minutes. What are you doing? Right? It's these type of things that we're going to start seeing those happen in different areas. So I can't wait to see it. But I'm a futurist. I'm a technologist. Obviously, like, I love using technology to solve problems because that's what it's there for. It's gonna take some of the bigger companies and some of the old guard a while to get used to it, but I think we're going to see it happen a lot faster than people think.
Man after my own heart. Another thing that we have in parallel is, obviously, I feel like you watch movies probably a little bit differently than most people, because I'm the same way. Because people say, oh, stop watching TV, you're going to rot your brain. Well, actually, I learn quite a bit from movies. Like, I watch movie very differently. I'm looking for the nugget. Like, what can I take into my life? And some of my biggest life lessons I've actually learned from movies, but the same for my work, right? I take a lot of stuff from my work as a content creator and a cybersecurity practitioner into my life, but then vice versa, take stuff from my life into cybersecurity. Has there been one thing that you've learned inside of identity that you've been able to apply to your real life?
Yeah, don't trust anyone. No, I'm just kidding.
That's a learning lesson right there for sure.
Let me think. Yes, it's, and this is kind of circular. And I'll explain it this way. It's the art of asking questions. That's it, right? And I learned how to ask questions kind of being a consultant very early on, right? And so it's like, okay, but why am I here? What are you looking to do? What's your end goal? What do you want from this, right? And when I became a consultant, I had to switch this gear in my head from just give me the technical requirements, I'll go code it, because I tell everybody, it's like, I'm ambitiously lazy. Like, I want to do something once. I don't want to go code something and go, oh, that's not it. I'm going to go code it again. Okay, that's not it. Now I'm like, okay, I'm frustrated. What the heck is going on? So I had to come in and go, okay, let me understand exactly what it is you want. And I'm talking to somebody who's not a coder, who's not technical. So I had to learn how to ask all these questions. And the reason why I say it's circular is because, okay, then outside of identity, outside of work, I spent my 20s probably reading anywhere from 20 to 30 self-help books, like books on leadership, books on emotional intelligence, how to lead teams, like all this stuff, right? I just went nuts with it. I just loved it. I loved consuming information. And so what I learned from there is like, oh, like asking questions help you connect to people better and helps you understand where people are coming from. And so then I was like, well, I kind of do this already with consulting. So now that I knew I was doing it, I took it back and I started asking even deeper questions and getting more involved. And then it's that thing right there, like learning how to ask questions just gave me one of my superpowers to be both in work and then just in regular life, to kind of take things and go, okay, right? It's funny. My girlfriend says this all the time. Like she'll know like when my wheels are spinning, because I'll sit there and I'll be like, And I don't even realize they do it. Like I'll see something or somebody will say something. I'm like, and she goes, uh-oh. And I'm like, what? What? She goes, what's going on over there? I'm just like, nothing. And then she's like, really? And I was like, well, actually, I was thinking, and I've got like 20 questions that just rattled off in my brain because I saw something or somebody said something, and it's just like I'm like, I want to learn more about that. And to the way to learn more is to ask questions. Yep. And to me, it's a recursion thing, right? I'm trying to get to the base and root of what the problem is. And once I understand that, then it's like, okay, cool. Now we can work from here and really work on this root instead of trying to fix things up here at the surface level where we may go through 10, 15, 30 different iterations because we're not getting down to what the real thing is. So
I was going to ask you about, advice you have for other professionals, but rather than do that, I want everyone to pause, move back 5 minutes and listen to all of that again.
Yeah.
Because I want you to just hear that. Ask questions. No, ask deeper questions and don't do it more than one time.
Yeah.
I love that. It was beautiful. But I suppose I can't. If there's anything else you would like to share to the newcomers among us or the people who are new to identity.
I can only speak for this field because this is the only one I've been in, right? But I think this is a field that no matter what expertise you're bringing in, you're going to find useful, right? Identity, because identity is 60% business and 40% technical, right? Like it really, really is. There's a ton of technical stuff in here. So you can definitely nerd out. There's standards and there's, different tool sets and scripting and programming and all this stuff. Yes. Yay, standards. And so you can just go all technical you want on that. But a lot of this is you're taking this to transform how a business operates. And anytime you want to do that, there's people, there's processes involved, and that takes a certain level of skill. So if people are trying to break in and like, I sit in GRC, how could I do anything? Well, you're already used to kind of writing policies and trying to break down policies and understand what they are and how they apply controls. You can use that same thing in identity. You could be somebody who is a librarian. And it's like, okay, well, how to sort and look at specific data. That things need to go in a certain direction. How do I find, how do I help people find what they're trying to get to and find this book, right? And identity, like, how do I take this organization and help them get for where they want to go, right? And where they are right now, right? Okay, we've got to sort information. We've got to line things up. Like there is just this field is so open to that diverse set of thinking. And I know that's a, word that we can't really use right now, but I will anyway. Yeah, right. It's ripe and open to that because of how all the technical stuff needs to get applied, right? It's one of the weaknesses we have in this field is that we tend to be overly too technical, right? And so a lot of people that have to run these projects and get this to work for their business, they don't understand the tech, right? And then they got to figure out how do I get approval to write this $500,000 budget to go do this thing? And how am I going to show that it really does do ROI and it affects my business and it continues to help us go? And so you need to have that kind of understanding coming in. So be curious, ask questions, right? And bring whatever you have and you're trying to come into this, bring it with you. Trust me, there's a way to apply it, right? I think the best people that come into identity that kind of really get it are the ones that are curious and are just afraid to kind of ask different questions and look at something and goes, well, why do we do it that way? Right? That's great, right? Mm-hmm. How should we do it? And kind of go from there. So,
absolutely. Before we got on the podcast, you gave us some news about your next chapter in the world of identity. Tell us what that next chapter is, and then also give us a little sneak into what has it taken to get to that chapter in your perspective?
Just recently, I agreed to come on to Saviynt to be their Field CTO. And it was a very interesting and exciting time to kind of figure this out, right? Over the last couple of years, I've been, doing my independent thing. I've been doing some things here, been helping customers, been helping friends, been advising companies, things like that. But as we kind of talked about, right, 20 years in this thing and I'm still in it. It's because not only do I love identity, but I actually love that kind of advisory and consulting part of it, like just helping people figure this out, right? Helping people look at this in a different way. especially like when you have like, new directors or new things. And so when I was talking to Saviynt about this position, I was like, hey, we want somebody to come in, advocate, for identity, be the voice of the customer out in the field, help them understand how this works. Saviynt as a company has really, for these last couple of years, started to kind of turn and seeing the company they're turning into. And I'm a big person about culture. I got a chance to get around a lot of people there, and I'm just like, this is awesome, right? So the chance to kind of get back out there, talk to customers, help them kind of figure this out and guide them through it was just it was too much for me to pass up, right? I just love it too much. It was really exciting. Little tidbit: it also helped that the headquarters from Saviynt is literally 5 miles from where I grew up as a kid.
Wow.
Out in California. So that was kind of like the serendipity moment.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like literally I went, hung out with them, and then hopped in an Uber 10 minutes later to go see my aunt and uncle. And I'm just like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. So I think it just all kind of came together. The journey to get here has been a little roller coaster, but really just a lot of learning things kind of the hard way, right? Not being afraid to kind of make mistakes and seeing where things go. Like I've told the story before, like if you're in identity and you haven't fired half of an organization, like you really haven't done identity yet. Like if you haven't been on that project where it's like, wait, we did what? But just being in those trenches, right? And seeing how this actually applies. And part of that, what I took from that and building towards is every single engagement, whether I'm doing product or, doing, corp dev or leading alliances or whatever it was always for me, what am I taking from this and learning from this, understanding more about the problem, and how do we get this back towards the customer? How do we make this alliance work so we can deliver a better value to our customer? How do I make this product better so we can make a better value to our customer? Because eventually I want the customer, the end user to this to see the advantages of everything that identity does without having to dig and get in the dirt and do all these things, right? I want it to be magic, right? It was one of the reasons why I was so attracted to Amazon was, wanted to wow the customer, right? Disagree and commit, like really kind of get in there, be customer obsessed. And I was kind of already those things going into it. I naturally just kind of wanted to do those things. So, leading up to it, it's just been, really kind of leaning into what I enjoy doing the best. And then, timing and relationships, right? I've made, good relationships and connections over the time. A lot of people that I know that I now call friends are there and kind of helped, kind of guide this along. So in a long-winded way, I would say it's been a journey of friendships and relationships and failures and successes, right? All those things kind of together. And for anybody that's looking at that and going, okay, how do I get from A to Z? You just take a step. And I know that sounds cliche, but that's literally what it is. Like, do the next thing that's in front of you. Remember to constantly, be at your best and try to learn something new every day. And then don't be so obsessed with what you're doing that you don't look up and make connections with people, right? Like true connections with people. You help somebody on a project, right? Find a way to connect. Go play golf or pickleball, right? Which is the new thing nowadays, right? Mm-hmm. Find something that you can connect with those people and make relationships over time, because as you advance in your career, that's really what kind of helps you out the most, right? It becomes, my first mentor told me your first 10 years is about what you did in college and how you apply it. After that, it's about what you've done and who you know and the impact that you have. Mm-hmm. And I can't say that that's not true. It's been very true for me. And yeah, it's got me to where I am today. Really excited for the next chapter.
I love it. Final question, but for both of you, favorite Star Wars movie? Go.
Return of the Jedi.
Oh, quick with it.
No, it was the very first one that came out. Forget this whole timeline business. That's just nonsense, right?
Yeah. First one came out. Mine was Rogue One.
Ooh, yes, that's up there. Return of the Jedi, honestly, it's just more nostalgia for me. Like it was my favorite one as a kid. Mm-hmm. Seeing Luke and getting his lightsaber and the X-Wing and just like, so it's more nostalgia. You made a point earlier about like, you don't just like, you watch movies differently. I am a storyteller, so I'm always looking. You are going to get me with anything, TV series, anything, if there's a good story.
Right.
I immediately need to understand the story.
Yep.
So if I say just from a movie standpoint and like the true story, man, Rogue One is up there because I loved how they told that story and how they connected to it. I'd probably agree with you with Rogue One.
Oh, nice.
But the Andor series on Disney
haven't watched
Plus,
it yet.
Oh my God.
I was just talking to somebody about Rogue One, and they were like, you got to watch Andor.
Time out. No spoilers. No spoilers.
No spoilers. You got to watch it. You got to watch it.
I will. I'll start tonight.
Oh my goodness, people. All right. David, thank you. You are a great guest and you're inspiring as always.
Thanks for having me. This is fun.
Also, thanks to everyone watching the show. AKA Identity has been a great sponsor for us in our first year, but we need new sponsors for year 2. If your organization is willing to help out, reach out to me and let's talk about it.